Oh, everybody out there, welcome back to Tremonte and Friends Boxing. Like and subscribe to the channel. Get your child to subscribe. Get your grandma, your manager, your uncle, everybody you know. And we gonna get right into it. Gervonta Tank Davis is one of the few pay-per-view stars in boxing. His natural ability, his knockout power, the way he fights is exciting. And he gives the fans and the general public what they want to see. We all know that. We can see it in him. He was under Floyd, under Mayweather Promotions for a while. And then, he ventured off to do his own thing. Works with Leonard Ellerby. A few. But this isn't about Tank necessarily in the boxing ring. Or kinda. Tank Davis doesn't really care that much about boxing anymore. This isn't conjecture. This isn't me making this up in my head. He kind of heavily alluded to this before. Before the Lamont Roach fight, this was Tank's last fight where there was a draw in the fight. I actually scored the fight 1 round for Lamont Roach. All credit to Lamont Roach. He fought a great fight. Lamont Roach was very familiar with Tank's style. He's fought him a few times before. And with Tank taking the knee, I thought Lamont Roach won the fight. But on paper, it's a draw. All of us could see in the fight or in the highlights, Tank wasn't really himself. Or was it that Lamont Roach had him figured out? Which one would it? Could it be a combination of both things? I think 2 things could be true at one time. Before the Lamont Roach fight, which may not happen anymore, because, Tank got arrested. He's been arrested before. He got arrested. Lamont Roach was on his YouTube. He was on Twitter saying Tank hadn't signed his portion of the contract. The fight was supposed to be scheduled for August the 16th, I believe. It's July. They would announce the fight officially before if it was really going to happen in August. It's clearly not happening in August because Tank's potential criminal case, it may not happen at all. I digress though on that front. Before the Lamont Roach fight, Tank was being interviewed. He was on a press run. Side note, I think Tank's an introvert. He doesn't really talk a lot. He's not on social media a lot unless a fight is really happening. Then he'll build up the fight. He'll market himself and brand himself a little more. Tank was being interviewed and he said, I want to get my education. I want to kind of retire with the money I have. I want to go do other things aside from being a boxer. Me as a man, I salute that 100%. You don't have to do one thing your whole life. Tank has been boxing since he was a child. He's probably got bored. He's probably gotten bored, want to do something else. He said that out of his mouth, I want to get my education. As a man who's gotten his education, and I may go back to school to get my education, I like seeing somebody, an athlete especially, like, hey, I want to go further myself and develop myself more for the next portion of my life. Remember, Tank is in his 30s now. Something happens to you when you're 30. There's a paradigm shift. If you're looking for it, there's a paradigm shift that occurs where you're like, something else has to start happening. Even if you're doing well in life, like something else has to start happening. Kids, spouse, even if you're single and you're in a good career, something in your mind is like, I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 19. I have responsibilities. I have to hold myself accountable to certain things. And I think going into the Lamont Roach fight, as we know, most sports, if not all sports, most of life is mental, especially in combat sports. If you're checked out halfway mentally, you're not going to be there. And again, credit to Lamont Roach, but I think part of it also was that Tank is kind of checked out of boxing. He wants to live his life and raise his kids. You can't fault a man for that. He's made more than enough money to be set for life, and his kids are set for life. And I think it showed in the fight. Tank was making mistakes in the fight, like that knee and stuff like that. He's never done that ever. It's a mental lapse. It's a mental lapse. And he's not eager to do the rematch. That's not because he's scared. I don't think boxers are scared in that way. I don't think he really cares to fight like that. He's like, what else am I going to do? Let's say I beat everybody. What else? What else is there? I think his mind is already on to the next venture, whatever that may be for him. I seen a couple years ago there was a street named after him in Baltimore where he grew up. I think he just wants to do other stuff. And because us as fans, we're greedy and we feel entitled. Like, man, if I was making 10, 15 million a fight, I'm going to stay fighting. Why would I retire? But we're not them. We're not them. We don't know the grueling process of a training camp. No matter how much ability you have in any sport or any endeavor in your life, you will only get as far as your discipline will take you. And as of recent memory, in the ring with Tank and outside of the ring, he's been, I would dare to say, uncharacteristically not disciplined. And I think that's because he's halfway out of boxing. And I think if he's halfway out of boxing, you're kind of all the way out of boxing. You can't step in that ring half-assing. I think when Tank got in the ring with Lamont Roach, I think he gave his best effort, but I don't think his mind was fully there. I could tell. A lot of us can tell, like, this ain't Tank. I'm not saying you got to knock him out. It's like, this ain't you. Something else is going on up there. That's my take on things. I think Tank has just hit that age and that threshold in his life where he really wants to pivot and see what else is out there. And he's like, I can fight. I know how to fight. I can do it. Muscle memory. But I don't really want to anymore. And other things are taking over. I'm not talking about bad things or him getting around. I'm just talking about life. You know, I got kids. I'm trying to do other stuff, man. And he doesn't want the sport to retire him. And that's what happens with a lot of athletes. We've seen the past 10 years, a lot of football players in their 30s start retiring. We're like, Aaron Donald, why are you retired? You in the prime of people, man, don't want the sport to retire them. They want to do other things while they're still young. And I want to know what y'all think about where Tank's career is headed. If he don't fight the rematch with Lamont Roach, he's probably not going to fight the rest of the year. Tank really only fights like once a year, really for real anyway. And what y'all think about Tank? Y'all think he is a legend? You think he'll go to the Hall of Fame? You think his career is over? I don't think his career is over. You think he'll continue fighting? I think if he continues fighting, he probably won't fight more than 3 times again, and he'll just be off into the sunset. I salute any man who want to just sit down, enjoy his money, and take care of his kids and do other things. As a boxing fan, I want him to fight. You know, I want to see him in more fights because he's exciting and I know what he could do. But a man has to make his own decisions. Let me know what y'all think. Will we see Tank back again? Will he be his normal self? Yet to see. Subscribe to the channel. Peace and love.